Dig it.
Hey guys, I just want to show you this real quick. Brand new peanut lighter, stainless steel. As you see there, I just filled it up. I'm actually going to put it in this old Gatorade bottle filled with water, as you can see. Leave it in the water for 24 hours, and I'm actually going to freeze it solid for the beginning of the peanut lighter destruction test. Stay tuned. Alright guys, here's the bottle. I actually soaked the lighter in the water for 24 hours, and then as you can see it here, I then froze it for another 24 hours. So it's frozen solid in here. You can see that nice and easy. I'm actually going to be using a cold steel machete here to break this bottle open, and then use the spine to break the ice. So let's try to get this lighter out of here. Let me just make sure I'm in frame here. See here, lighter's still in there, nice and frozen, solid ice. Now I could probably wiggle this out here, now that most of the ice is broken. There's the lighter. Solid ice. Alright, let's move on to the next demonstration. Just taken out of the ice. Still works fine. Let's drop it a couple times. This is just solid concrete. Let's actually throw it down a little bit, because drop it's not going to do anything. So let me give it an actual forceful throw. Well, let's check it out. No physical damage that I can see. And just some light scratching. Not even dented. Let's check it out. First try. Very first light. The insert is a little bit loose, but it works fine. Alright, now I'm actually going to run this over with a car. Alright guys, here it is. I'm going to run it over twice. There you go. Works fine. Just frozen, broken out of ice, smashed on the ground. and run over by a car. Alright guys, as you saw there, the peanut lighter, stainless steel version that I have tested is extremely strong and will surpass most demonstrations. I say most because I have one last thing that I did. I actually don't have it on film. My battery died. I was up at my grandfather's and I didn't have my charger with me. But I did one last test just because of my sick curiosity, and it failed. But I have to say, I can't foresee any single lighter on this planet passing this particular test. And what you're looking at here is the bottom half of the peanut lighter, mainly because that's all I can find after this test. And if you're wondering what I did, turn this over and show you, I shot it. Yes, that's right. I shot it dead on with a 45. Here's the actual casing from the round I used. I used Winchester, like I said, 45 caliber, 45 ACP, full metal jacket. And even though that it, once on impact, the internet just blew off. The top blew off, and the guts of the lighter just totally disappeared. It's actually pretty surprising that the bullet didn't do more damage. I thought this would be in a bunch of little pieces, but actually on impact, it pushed in the case here, and some of the bullet actually penetrated through and lodged itself in there, and the rest of it kind of ricocheted off, and it just cracked the case. But it didn't go all the way through, which was actually astonishing. I mean, the force of a 45, and I was shooting from I think it was about 15 feet, which is not very far at all. I was actually standing behind a tree because I was deathly afraid of a ricochet. I mean, you don't want to be shooting metal unless you're shooting something that's metal that's made to be hit with bullets, such as metal targets. So I was actually standing behind a tree. It took me 6 shots from 15 feet. It is a very small target, and again, standing behind a tree, couldn't aim, didn't have a proper stance or anything, just kind of hiding behind the tree. But after a couple shots, I kind of hit around it. I was actually hitting high left, and then one of my rounds, I kind of compensated for my, I guess my trigger pull wasn't doing all that great because I was shooting a little bit high. So I compensated. I aimed a little bit down to the bottom right there, and it hit dead on. And like I said, what actually happened is on impact, the top, the cap shot off. And actually, it's hard to see here, but the tube for the insert is still here, but all the guts just shot right out of it. I mean, like the padding shot out, the spark wheel, the top portion of it, the flint tube, all that stuff just shot right through it. Just I didn't find any of that stuff. It'd be interesting to find the cap. As the snow melts and stuff, I might be able to find that. The top doesn't look like it bent the shape, the round shape of the top part here. So it'll be interesting to see if the cap's still screwed back on, if I could find it. The threads are actually, they look fine. They're not really bent at all. But it did break it. But you know what? There's not a single lighter on this planet it wouldn't. It was just my sick curiosity to actually try it. And like I said, the force of a 45, that's just it's amazing to me that it still stayed in this much. What's the word I'm looking for? It stayed intact this much. That's crazy. It actually did not penetrate through. So even though I'm not suggesting this, let's just say 1 in a billion chance that you're walking down the street and you have a peanut lighter in your pocket, maybe a shirt pocket or something, and someone shoots you, and again, 1 in a billion chance the bullet hits your lighter dead on. It might save your life. I mean, it didn't, like I said, it didn't pierce through at all. It basically stopped the bullet. The actual force of this pushed it. I had this taped to a phone book for my backstop, and actually a couple phone books inside of a box, but it pushed through probably 30 or 40 pages. So I mean, if this was actually against your body when it got shot, it might rip your skin and everything, but and give you a really horrible bruise. But it might save your life. I'm not suggesting buying a peanut lighter to save your life in case you get shot at, but I am suggesting purchasing one just because of how strong they are and just how reliable of a lighter they are. You can see there's the dent in the case. It really, like I said, a 45 full on, that's still amazing to me that it didn't go all the way through. It didn't just completely open this up and break it into a bunch of little pieces. So, kind of a surprising test. Anyway, wanted to show you that. The peanut lighter. Pretty crazy stuff. I mean, you saw my the tests, the little clips I showed you before this one. Normal use, you know, it's not going to break at all. Even abuse, as you saw in my testing, it's not going to break. It'll still work fine. The case on the stainless steel one, it's incredibly strong. Dropping on the ground, which is probably a common thing that's going to happen. You know, if you use your lighter, chances are you're going to drop it a couple times. You saw I dropped it on concrete, not a problem whatsoever. You know, barely even scratched the thing. Then I slammed it down on concrete, you know, solid concrete, and I put a lot of force throwing that against the ground there, and it was fine, didn't break. You know, dropping it in water, leaving it in water for 24 hours. That might be a normal test if you know, let's say you're using it outdoors and you drop it at the edge of a pond or a lake and maybe lose it and then later find it. You're going to see that that's not going to be an issue. You know, freezing it solid, that's kind of extreme. However, if let's say you lost it again outside on your property somewhere and it's winter time and it snowed on it and maybe it froze solid and then maybe later, you know, in springtime it thaws out and you actually find it, well, it still won't be broken. So, you know, like I said, most of my testing are somewhat normal, but it is abuse of the lighter. But it didn't affect it whatsoever. Shooting it did, but I knew it would. Like I said, there's not a lighter on this planet that can take a gunshot and still work long term. Some lighters, like if you shot a Zippo dead center, it might still light because there's fluid there, but you can never use it again because the fluid would just leak out. But anyway, I know I'm totally sick for ruining this, but like I said, my sick curiosity, I had to try it. So now you know, peanut lighter, stainless steel, will stop a 45. Pretty crazy. Alright guys, thanks for watching my destruction video. It was going to be a demonstration video, but again, last second turned it into a destruction video. But people usually like destruction for some reason. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.